All right. Well, do you have any interesting stories that we didn't cover about your father or this, your career?
Well, I have to say, definitely the story this year has been just watching the world unwind. But I just really feel like it's an exciting time to be a musician, and I'm so grateful and just truly humbled by the whole experience. And I hope I'm just getting started. I hope it continues to last, and I hope to continue to grow as an artist myself. But um, the one man band show is going to be exciting tonight. I'm excited to be here at Rhodes playing. It's an experiment, but it's all about audience participation and sort of hypnotic trance beats. And it's real. It's all improvised and made up right there on the spot. So keeping it fresh.
It sounds exciting for real.
Yeah, yeah. It's scary. It's definitely walking out on a limb, because like something goes wrong, it gets interesting. Start over.
I got a question. So,
Sure.
Go back, music for social change, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I know the lyrics are important, but what about the sound? Like, what does the sound do without the lyrics?
Well, that's a good question. Like, the music brings people together, and that's half the battle. I mean, like just getting an audience and having people's attention is a huge platform for any sort of message. And if you can bring about a positive message that does result in social change, incredible, amazing, and music can, without a doubt, do that. It has in the past, and I'm sure it will in the future. It also, I think, reflects social change as much as creates it. That was the point I was trying to make earlier, I think, was that it can be responsible for it, but it can, like a catalyst, but it can also be sort of reactionary. I think that's a big part of artists. Lyrics are, of course, they can tell a story directly, but music by itself can really move people. Like for example, the Sacred Steel. It's a gospel like denomination, really, of pedal steel players that play the most incredible, moving music. And it can tear you down, bring you to tears, or make you want to jump with joy, with no vocals at all. No singing. And that's a good example of, I think, music having a direct effect on people, in a positive way. I suppose it could also be damaging too, when those kids were, like, this is kind of, on the other hand, it's like in London when the riots were going down, it was all kids, and they all had like their hoods pulled down, it's the kind of guys you see with iPods in, you know what I mean, rocking some, and I was wondering to myself, what are they listening to? Like, what music, what's going through their heads, and I started to think about, I'm showing my age here, but I started to think about some lyrical content that I can like be very specific about, like in My Chemical Romance, for example, Na Na Na, in which one, a Green Day song off of American Idiot, I think it's Jesus of Suburbia, one of those, where they directly call on revolution and riots. I mean, they say do it, and it's all fun and games when you're a musician and you're up on a stage, you can say that, but when it really happens, is that what you want? And I wonder, because the people, like the newscasters on the BBC were just baffled. They could not figure out, like, why would they do this? And, I couldn't help but think they would never know the lyrical content of these artists, Like 30 Seconds to Mars, their new record, or most recent record, is called This Is War, and it's all about, it's a call to arms, da-da-da-da-da, and it's fairly symbolic, but it could also be very literal, And I think that they should be a little more careful, because I think that there is a lot of tension now, and who knows? It's the future is so uncertain. But I just hope that we here in America continue to be comfortable and appeased, because on the other hand, I have to say that I love, don't get me wrong, I love America. I was a patriot before it was cool to be a patriot, I think. But really, all the traveling and seeing the world has, I mean, it's amazing, but it's really given me an appreciation for where I'm from. And I've never thought about moving away from Memphis, and you know, it's just a big part of who I am, you know. But I just have to say that Americans tend to be complacent and a bit lazy, I think, socially. And it would take something, I don't know, who knows what it would be, like, you know, say the banks failed and our ATM cards stopped working, something like that, you know, where people really did take action. But that's what I fear. That's what I'm afraid of, because I don't think they are prepared for it. I don't think they, like, there's a sort of in Europe, there's an older tradition behind marching in the street, you know, like civil unrest and disobedience is organized. But I don't know, if what happened in London happened here, man, it would just really be scary.
So do you think, like, in the future, like, songs will start to reflect the civil unrest in a greater way, like they did back in the 60s and 70s?
You know, it's easy to point the finger at those, at the hippies and the generations, you know, the beatniks, not the beatniks so much, but like the hippies, because they represented all this change. But, and I suppose to a certain degree there was change, but isn't that the same generation of people now who are really kind of dropping the ball and, you know, making my generation, your generation, have to really deal with a different reality, you know? So I question how, you know, the Woodstock, I watched the Woodstock documentary recently, and, you know, with all their bravado of change, I wonder how much they really, what effect they really had. Maybe they stopped the Vietnam War, I don't know. But anyway, you know, it's, I hope so. I hope that in the future we will become more, you know, it just scares me. I'm afraid that people, like the general population, just don't care, frankly, about what's going on in the, like, current events. You know, they're just so tuned out. And that's okay, I understand, you know, I mean, I don't know how many more headlines myself I can read about the Middle East or the Republicans and Barack Obama and this and that. You know, it gets so played out. It's so easy to tune it off, you know. But, like, I hope that people become more in tune and engaged with what's happening, and so that way they can be more entertained, you know. I think Jon Stewart's a good example of someone who does it well, you know, makes it interesting and funny and good, but you have to be up on what he's talking about, otherwise you won't get it, you know. So if music could sort of serve that purpose, that'd be great, you know. And I think Memphis is the place to do it, definitely. I've been working on a project where I bring emerging artists, like stars, together with the legends from this area. So far we've done Mavis Staples with the North Mississippi All-Stars. We did Booker T with Al Capone. We did Yo Gotti with Bobby Blue Bland, you know, and we filmed the whole thing, and it's almost like a master study on generations and music and telling that story, like, and sort of documenting that interaction. But something like that can only happen in Memphis. And you know, we had an incredible night at the Shell last night. We played a show with Lucero and Jimbo Mathis, among many others, and it was just so incredible, man. Memphis music is no joke, and I really think it's getting serious right now. And I suppose some things never change; they just come in waves, you know.
Where'd you play at last night?
It was the Levitt Shell.
Oh,
Yeah, over there in Overton Park.
yeah. What's your favorite place to play in Memphis?
I'd have to say the Shell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Are you guys familiar with it? You've seen it? Yeah, of course. Yeah, you know, it used to be run down. It was really funky, and it's amazing that they didn't tear it down and turn it into a parking lot for I guess the College of Art over there. But recently they renovated it, and they came in with some investors and put in backstage area, and it's like a real, you know, performing arts center. It's nice. Yeah.
The concert last night was part of a folk festival.
Yes. Yeah, it was so nice. It was a tribute to my dad. It was the Jim Dickinson, I guess it was the second annual Jim Dickinson Folk Festival. And yeah, it was amazing. It was so great. He used to do those in the 70s. And it was very similar. They would have blues artists like Sleepy John Estes and Furry Lewis. I mean, like the real deal. Sort of when they were in the 60s, when there was a resurgence of blues, a lot of very authentic blues musicians being rediscovered, you know, and they were a big part of that, definitely. And it was sort of, we showed a lot of footage from those days, and it was definitely an homage to that and trying to bring it back, you know, in a way. What the common thread last night with the lineup, where they were all acts that my dad had produced, and wow, it was a true testament to his work. I mean, just amazing music, you know.
How many years did he work in the record industry?
Wow. You know, he saw Elvis happen. I mean, he saw rock and roll become invented from day one, you know, and you know, it's impossible for me to imagine a world without rock and roll, you know, but he did, you know, and he told me about it. Definitely. But as far as how long, 40 years, you know, 50? Yeah. Long time.
A lot of changes in that time.
Yeah, absolutely. But I have to say, you know, like, just to recap quickly, you know, technology and the digital, the information age or whatever has really, really changed the face of the music business, you know. In a way, it's, you know, it's lean and mean, you know. I like it because, you know, there's not a lot of fluff. There's not a lot of, if you don't just love it, then it's, you know, I think people will find other things to do because it's a challenge. It really is, you know, but it's so gratifying. I can't imagine my life any other way.
So do you think live music is going to come to replace record sales as a way of making money?
It has for me, you know. I know people do still make money selling records, and that's great. And we do okay, you know, like we do now, you know, over 10 years down the line, we have our own record company, and we put out our own material like DVDs and all that stuff. And so it's great. We keep the expenses low, and we do make profits and everything, you know. But it's been the touring that has been, you know, that has been my career, you know. Although I have to say the past year or two, my production work has almost eclipsed it as far as, you know, just day rates and things like that.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about?
We good? Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for coming in.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
It's a great interview.